I shall begin with a few Mangala shlokas. Shuklam Varadharam Vishnum Shashivarnam Taturbhajam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye. Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namah. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Pada Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankarāchāryam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhāshya Kritav Vande Bhagavantav Punah Punaha Yairime Gurubhih Purvam Padavakya Pramanatah Vyakyata Sarva Vedantah Tan Nityam Pranatosmyaham. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. In this series of 9 classes spread over 3 weeks, we have thought of a new attempt. We have thought of trying to understand how the Upanishads have been presented by the first one among the 3 great Acharyas, namely Sri Shankarāchārya. Sri Shankarāchārya, after him, about 200 years later, Sri Ramanujacharya, whose 1000th birth anniversary is being celebrated this year. And another 200 years later, we had Sriman Madhvacharya. I personally regard all the 3 of them as unbelievably great. They are way high as compared with our inner evolution, our inner growth. In this series, however, we wish to understand how Sri Ādi Shankarāchārya looked at Upanishads and presented before people of his times a system, a school of thought, whereby there is a wonderful reconciliation of apparently contradictory statements in different parts of the Vedas. As everybody here surely knows, whether it is Shankara or Ramanuja or Madhva, the sources for them, the foundation for them to lay down their school of thought was the same, it is the same. Mainly it is the Prasthana Traya. The 3, Traya means 3, the 3 authoritative works of Sanatana Dharma. And those 3 are no other than the most popular Srimad Bhagavad Gita, a little less known Upanishads, and even less known Brahma Sutras. Gita is one, Brahma Sutras also is a single work of some 555 aphorisms. Upanishads are many. Some 10 of them have been called major Upanishads, and Ādi Shankara wrote commentaries on all those 10. Though someone like Sri Ramanujacharya, I myself found out recently, did not write a commentary on even a single Upanishad. Sri Ramanuja did not pick up an Upanishad as such to write his commentaries. All the same, he wrote a few very important works. He commented on Brahma Sutras, which is very challenging, which is, his commentary is called Sri Bhāshyam, highly admired, highly adored, much studied even today in universities as well as spiritual centers. And Sriman Madhvacharya also commented on some of the Upanishads, and he too wrote on Brahma Sutras. So if you ask me, is there some text on which all the three wrote commentaries? I would say among Upanishads not really, but Gita and Brahma Sutras were commented by all these three. You have Gita Bhashya by Shankara, by Ramanuja, by Madhva. You have Gita Bhashya, you have Brahma Sutra Bhashya by all the three. So, these three are the foundations. And then there are many allied works. Someone like Sri Ramanujacharya or his school later on became a large system where they took a number of Tamil works also as an authority. I remember years ago in Bangalore, when my own knowledge of Vedanta was very limited, I was passing through an area called Malleshwaram, and I read a big board, Abhaya Vedanta Kendra. And I was excited. I was getting into the Vedanta those days. Already I had studied a little. And Abhaya Vedanta. I first thought that maybe here I can study both Advaita and Dvaita, or maybe I can study both Dvaita and Vishishtadvaita. Two, at single place I will get to study two. Then I found out that the reference Ubhaya means two, both, was not to two schools, but the one school, namely Vishishtadvaita of Sri Ramanujacharya. Then why did they call it Ubhaya? The Sanskrit works and the Tamil works of Alvars, and there are so many Sri Vaishnava saints, and they wrote in Tamil. So in that sense it was Ubhaya. So all these three masters drew from the same foundation scriptures, but they interpreted the foundation scriptures differently. All these three schools are very prevalent today, and of course I must hasten to add, in the Indian spiritual heritage there are many more schools, such as Vallabhacharya's school, Nimbarkacharya's school, and many more. But they are considered more or less very close to one of these three. Therefore, mainly it is these three schools of thought. So, considering that it is the same Vedas of which Upanishads are a part, it is the same Bhagavad Gita and it is the same Brahma Sutras given by Veda Vyasa that are the foundation for the three major schools of thought, how come these three great masters interpreted differently? One would wonder, why could they not say in one voice and one teaching? You see, not their fault. If you want to blame anybody, I can give you a suggestion. Blame God. God, call him Narayana, call him Shiva, call him any other. We don't know why. God has, from time immemorial, made humanity with a tremendous diversity. There is a simple Sanskrit statement, Loko bhinna ruchihi. Lokaha means people. Loka of Sanskrit is same as log in Hindi. लोगों की रुचि अलग अलग होती है, क्या करें? Somehow, Vivekananda once said, you can't have a garment shop, a ready-made dress shop, with only one measurement and say, all of you have to fit into this. You can't run a shop like that. You can't say somebody who is a bit hefty, go work out, get thin and come. You can't say to someone who is very slim, go put on some pounds and come. We have only one size. A good shop has to provide dresses of small, medium, large, extra large. I don't know whether there is an extra small. Children's dress, of course, is there. Giving that analogy, Sri Vivekananda had said that religion has to cater to varieties of mindsets. So at any point in history, there were people whose mindsets were different. And different acharyas catered to different mindsets. In the first place, the acharyas themselves, by God's will, were deeply inspired by a certain view, a certain way. When I think of Sri Ramanuja and Sri Madhva, to me it seems that they, because of God's will and because of certain background, maybe their Purva Janma, or maybe they came from heaven itself, whatever they were over there, they were, right from birth, they were full of Hari Bhakti. Vishnu Bhakti was in every cell of theirs. So when they take Bhagavad Gita, when they take Upanishads, when they take Brahma Sutras, one thing that they cannot dispense with is love of Sri Vishnu. Vishnu Bhakti was so central. That is how they were made. What can you do? Whereas Shankara, who praised Lord Vishnu, who praised Lord Shiva also, his mindset was no particular attachment to a particular form of God. And therefore he became a Brahmavadi. Brahma has no particular form. Not Chaturmukha Brahma, of course. Brahman, the impersonal absolute reality that Advaita Vedanta talks about. Therefore, on one hand, they themselves, the acharyas themselves, had a certain mindset. On the other, by divine will, they catered to large numbers of people whose ruchi, whose taste, whose inclination was of that kind. Therefore, there is nothing like this is right and that is wrong. My own inner conflict was set at rest way back in somewhere in 1989 or so, when I had the opportunity to discuss this issue briefly. Why three schools of thought? Why not all Hindus have one way of looking at scriptures? I had a brief discussion with a very great scholar in Bangalore. His name was Anantarangachar. He was a professor. He used to give lectures on both Vishishtadvaita and Advaita. He knew Dvaita also quite well. He used to teach in public places, at Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan and such places. Personally, he was an Iyengar. He was Vishishtadvaiti. But he had a wonderful, harmonious understanding of all the systems. So I sought his advice. How do we resolve this? And what he said to me has always stood by me, and basically I have therefore no conflict. I feel at home at a Madhva place, at a Sri Vaishnava place. I feel at home at a Shankara Advaita place also, because Sri Anantarangacharya said to me, look young man, in the Gita in the Upanishads, in the Brahma Sutras, in all these three, there are mantras, shlokas, there are portions which are very much in favor of Advaita. Call it set A, spread over the whole bulk. There are also mantras and shlokas or paragraphs and passages in all these three foundation works scattered all over, which if you read them have the strong smell, have the strong flavor of Dvaita. God is up there and man meaning woman also, Jiva is down here. The Jiva's Sarthakya. Sarthakya means fulfillment. Sarthakya is when our life becomes truly meaningful. Sarthak we use, right? Artha means meaning. Sartha means meaningful. When our life has a sense of great meaningfulness, we feel, I'm so happy about my life. This is such a privilege. That is Sarthakya. And this Sarthakya would come to one according to Dvaita system when one completely submits to the will of God, as per Madhvacharya, Vishnu. Hari Bhakti is the fulfillment of human life. And the scholar in Bangalore said to me, I can show you hundreds or even thousands of portions where it is said like that. Then there are again mantras and shlokas in the same three foundational works which have a distinct flavor of Vishishtadvaita. Call it bunch C, the middle one being bunch B. So the Vedas, the Upanishads, the Gita, the Brahma Sutras are like a forest, a huge forest of many trees, many plants, many flowers, many kinds of fragrance. And there are mantras supporting all these three systems. A, B and C all are available. Now you may understand how these three schools came into being. Shankara travelled through the forest and he took the bunch A as primary. He took it as primary. This is the primary source, that bunch A, where all the mantras and shlokas have the meaning, have the implication of non-duality. Man and God are one. It is one appearing as two, one appearing divided. There is no true division. Then, did he close his eyes when he came upon or came across the Dvaita Para or Vishishtadvaita Para mantras? No, he would not close his eyes. He saw those mantras too. Then he, with his intelligence, took them as secondary. One is primary, then another is secondary. Imagine a father died, just before dying he said to his son, look, upstairs I have written a few instructions, please follow them. And the father breathed his last. Suppose the son goes, pulls a drawer and gets some instructions. Son, come what may, please do build a little Hanuman shrine in the backyard. The son said, okay, got it. By then the daughter-in-law came. She also pulled a few drawers. She pulled a few drawers. She found one more instruction. In the backyard, please build a Ganesh temple. And by then grandson came and he also started searching. And below the pillow of the grandfather who passed away, the grandson found yet another instruction. Don't build any temple in the backyard, let the trees flourish. Now there were three instructions. Now you can imagine. Suppose the son himself has a little love of Hanuman. he says, see, this is the main thing. Other two, put it behind. Father has written, build a Hanuman shrine. The daughter-in-law is a Ganesha Bhakta. She says, no. Look at this. This is my father-in-law's handwriting. And he loved me more than his own son. I was his favorite. And then the grandson says, whatever it was, towards his last days, he didn't care for either son or daughter-in-law. I was his prana. And I found this. Which says, doesn't. Now, all three are given by the former head of the family. Likewise, Anantarangacharya said, he used two Sanskrit words, very simple Sanskrit words, which are there in practically other languages of India too. He said, there are mantras and shlokas in the vast expanse of the Vedic literature which can support all these three schools of thought. Shankara took bunch A as mukhya. Mukhya is primary. And bunch B and bunch C as gauna. Gauna is a Sanskrit word for secondary. And you can always interpret it. Sri Ramanuja took bunch C as primary, A and B as gauna. And he gave some explanation. What it means here is, which also was highly acceptable to great intellects, great minds. Sri Madhvacharya took bunch B as primary and A and C were secondary. Bunch B was mukhya, bunch A and C were gauna for him. Therefore, no one is against the Vedas, no one is distorting or twisting, but what they took as primary and what they took as secondary, there was a difference. That is called loko bhinna ruchihi. We, the followers, also have different tastes, and those great leaders also had different mindsets. Finally, you may say, Chidanandji, thank you for explaining it this way, but what should we do? Which one should we follow? Though I am personally trained in Advaita Vedanta and I personally follow it also pretty much, I, with an open mind, say to anybody, try out all the three or try out what has come to you. When it has given you great satisfaction, whichever, follow it. Follow what appeals to you and follow universal global ethics. Follow the system where you feel, this appeals to me, this inspires me, I love this. It may be Dvaita, it may be Vishishtadvaita, it may be Advaita. You feel at home in it, follow it with full vigor, but do not find fault with the other systems. When you come across another system, somebody is saying, no, I believe in that system, just scratch your head and say, really? Oh, maybe, perhaps that also is wonderful. But to me, this system has worked. And whatever it is, let us remain friends. Let us not fight over these. For lastly, without going more into the three systems, let me tell you, if the three systems, Advaita, God and man are one truth, Dvaita, God and man are distinctly separate, and Vishishtadvaita, God and man are an integrated whole. God is the whole and man, Jivatma, is inseparable, is part. But Jiva is not as great as God, but he is inseparable, he is not way out there. So, these three, I would say, and the three acharyas, I would say, are on a scale of truth, 1 to 1000. All these three are up there in the top 50. The three matas, the three acharyas are up there 950 to 1000 on a scale of truth, where 0 is utter falsehood and 1000 is the purest truth. And all these three are in the top 50. Now you and I, even the speakers like us, are maybe at 200, 300, 350, 365, somewhere going up and down. We are nowhere near those heights, either in intellectual scholarship or even in the inner purity, the inner divine qualities of head and heart. Therefore, we, without making any show of those things, we need to work towards reaching 950 first. Let's reach 950, then let us roll up our sleeves. When we reach 950, there may not be any intention or inclination to do that. Only when we are half-baked, we get agitated over all kinds of issues. So, coming back now to Shankara's interpretation of the Upanishads. These 9 classes will be focusing on how Ādi Shankara looked at the Upanishads and gave a coherent view, gave a view where everything falls in place, where a student would finally be so satisfied, yes, now I know where to put everything. Now I know what is good for me, what is good for the society, in a general view and in a very specific manner. That is the purpose of all religious philosophies. Religious philosophies are meant to bring to us a tremendous sense of meaningfulness. Life should become meaningful. Life first appears chaotic. Many a time, every one of us, even the best among us, take the hand to our head and say, why did God create me at all? What a mess life is, and so on. From there, we must move on to looking at life as a great privilege. As who was that? Schopenhauer. Schopenhauer was a German philosopher, and he was like a father figure. Following him, many professors, many academicians drank from the fountain of Indian wisdom. Schopenhauer was some 250 years ago in Germany, and when he read the Upanishads, he was so inspired. And one of his much quoted statements is, Upanishads are the solace of my life, and they will be the solace of my death. As I am alive, I feel so blessed that I came upon Upanishads. And as I will die, whenever it happens, I will breathe my last with the sense of no regrets. No regrets. I studied the Upanishads. I am happy now to leave. So the Upanishads are the solace of my life. They are the solace of my death, was a statement made by Arthur Schopenhauer. So that kind of blessedness, and following which we not only feel blessed about ourselves, that's one side of the story, but like the other side of the same coin, following that kind of blessedness, true religiosity makes us love everybody, makes us experience compassion, makes us have sympathy towards all, even those who trouble us, rather than getting revengeful, rather than going about in a tit-for-tat manner. If we look at them sympathetically, why is that man so angry with me? Why does he want to kill me? Why does he want to trouble me? You try to understand a sympathetic view towards even your adversaries. That is when the blessedness of life goes to the climax. So, Shankara looked at the Upanishads. Some say that Shankara had to handle Buddhist schools of thought during his time. I personally believe that that was so to a lesser extent. More importantly, Shankara had to deal with his own Sanatana Dharmis, but who were Karmakandis. As you see in the life of Shankara, he did not debate so much with the Buddhist scholars. There is not much account of Ādi Shankara's long arguments with some Buddhist scholar. If we have some record, it is of his very long argument with Mandana Mishra. And Mandana Mishra was not a Buddhist. Mandana Mishra was a disciple of Kumarila Bhatta. Ādi Shankara goes somewhere in north of India seeking to meet Kumarila Bhatta. This Kumarila Bhatta, who was a Karmakandi, meaning who regarded those portions of the Vedas which prescribed karmas, rituals, Agnihotra and many other forms of Vedic rituals, he regarded that portion called Karmakanda as the be-all and end-all of life. He regarded Karmakanda as the final part of Veda. He had no appreciation for Upanishads. Even if somebody had shown him some Upanishads, he would say, oh, that is all some poetry, put it aside. We must do karma. We must live a disciplined life. We must observe the vows, the rules, the achara samhita, the codes of conduct as required by these karmas, and we will reach great levels of evolution. We will go to heaven, and then what happens? After a long time we may come back, but nothing prevents us from getting back on track on a virtuous life rooted in the karma portion of the Vedas. So, today's times Arya Samaj, for example, is a karma kanda, at least to a large extent. And most importantly, Arya Samaja is similar to karma kanda because Arya Samaj does not accept the Upanishads. Like I said about the three matas, where one of any of us may be following a mata, Dvaita, Advaita or Vishishta Advaita, we respect the other two. We respect Arya Samaj too. In no way I am putting it down, but the Vedanta is on a certain level or in a category where Arya Samaj does not subscribe. Swami Dayananda, the founder of Arya Samaj, did not subscribe to the Upanishadic view of life. So in Shankara's time, which was some 1,000 years before Swami Dayananda of Arya Samaj, there was this Kumarila Bhatta to begin with, and Kumarila Bhatta had to tackle certain Buddhist opponents. And it is said that Kumarila Bhatta went in the disguise of a student and joined a Buddhist monastery and learnt everything that they were teaching. But at the end of it, he said, Namaste, thank you, and he walked away. Though he walked away, he felt deep inside him a sense of guilt, for he had deceived the Buddhist teachers, pretending to be completely submitting to their belief. Otherwise they wouldn't teach him. If he said right in the beginning, I want to spend a few years or a few months at your place, and my whole idea is to check out whether it is sound or unsound. Then they would say, stay out. We do not want somebody like you. He would have said a lie, and therefore, feeling tremendous remorse, Kumarila Bhatta goes for a certain prayaschitta. Prayaschitta means, they call it expiation. Prayaschitta is something you do whereby a sinful act committed by you is undone. You make up for it, and going by his knowledge of the Prayaschitta Shastra, there is a science of Prayaschitta also, he figured out that for this kind of telling a lie to one's own gurus, to whom you go to learn, there is nothing less than self-immolation. You need to kill yourself. So he creates, as we hear the story, he creates a certain pyre, puts pieces of wood, sets it on fire, and he himself is in the middle of it. So he burns himself. Before he breathes his last, Ādi Shankara manages to reach that spot and say, "Can you not wait? Let's have a debate. Then go wherever you like to." There is an expression, Vada Bhiksha. Bhiksha generally is taken as food. Bhavati Bhiksham Dehi is when you ask for food. But these great scholars would go to somebody else and, "I want Bhiksha." "All right, what kind of food shall we serve you? Wheat or rice or..." No, not food to eat. Give us the Bhiksha of debate. Vada Bhiksha. So Shankara wanted a Vada Bhiksha from Kumarila Bhatta. But Kumarila Bhatta says, "Oh great scholar of Vedas, I salute you. I wish I was in a condition to engage you in a debate. But you look at me, I am about to die. But never mind, I have a very, very eminent student of mine, Mandana Mishra, and he knows everything that I know. Go to him." That is how Shankara goes and meets with Mandana Mishra, and in a very dramatic and very picturesque story that we hear, even as he is finding his way, at a distance itself, he is told, "Oh, you want to know where Mandana Mishra's house is?" From a long distance you would see the smoke of rituals, Vedic rituals going up in the air, and even the parrots near his house will be reciting Veda mantras. Then you know that you have come near his house. So such dramatic expressions are given. He figures out, he reaches there. And some of these may be dramatized versions. Both of them wear garlands, and it is said that when they argue, let us say A and B, if the garland of A fades away first, he is defeated. If the garland of B fades, the flowers fade, then that means he is defeated. So the flowers also are said to have a sense of who is right, who is wrong. So leave aside that aspect, a very long debate, and then Mandana Mishra accepts defeat. He agrees with Shankara. Yes, I missed out certain portions of the Vedas. Somehow I didn't pay attention. Oh Shankara, you are right. The Vedas do not talk about just karma and karma, but they go further. There is a karma kanda which is worthy of all respect and reverence, but it is not the end of the Vedic message. There is further the teaching of the Upanishads, and that is where the final teaching. Therefore Upanishads are called Vedanta. Vedanam Antaha. The final message. If the father in our story before had dated those three messages in the three drawers or one below the pillow, if he had dated it, April 20, build a Hanuman temple, and in April 26th note, it is dated and said, I have changed my mind, build a Ganesh temple. And then, let's say April 30th, dated, and it clearly says, I have changed my mind again, neither Hanuman nor Ganesh. Let the backyard be full of trees and flower-bearing plants, etc. If it was dated and if it was made clear what is his final wish, it would have been easy. But neither in the story we cooked up in the form of 3 messages by a father who passed away, nor in the Vedas, the mantras are put in that kind of sequence. Therefore, earlier I said, the mantras, bunches A, B and C, supporting Dvaita, Advaita and Vishishtadvaita, are scattered all over. They are not in a sequence, nor are they dated. So if you want to figure out, if you want to decide which is the ultimate, it is through other means, it is through other criteria, it is through other parameters that you have to arrive at a conclusion, which the 3 acharyas employed in their own ways. So, to complete the story of Mandana Mishra, which most of you know but some may not, Mandana Mishra accepts defeat, and all the ladies here should rejoice now. Wife of Mandana Mishra says, "O revered visitor, with due respect to you, the debate is not over. I, Mandana Mishra's wife, would like to ask you some questions." And there is a second phase of the debate, and I guess her name was Vidya Bharati. She engages Shankara with some more questions. There are some dramatic versions, whatever be the content of that second phase. In that second phase too, Shankara convinces the wife of Mandana Mishra that the Vedic message doesn't end with just dharma or karma. Dharma and karma are both about doing right things, living virtuously, avoiding certain things. Vidhi nishedhatmakam, we say. Vidhi means a number of injunctions with regard to what you must do. And nishedha means a number of instructions about what you should not do. I will be going into it in greater detail. The whole karma vibhaga, that is department of karma, whether it is Vedic rituals or the so-called secular activities of ours, whether it is about food or sleep or speech or play or enjoyment, in a number of departments of human life, having to do with God or having nothing to do with God, having to do with afterlife or having nothing to do with afterlife. It may be about a football match, it may be about earning and spending. So that is what I mean by number of departments of human life. You have ideas of what is to be done, what is not to be done. Vidhi and nisheda. Karma is by nature something to do with vidhi and nisheda. And Mandana Mishra and his wife both were convinced that there is a lot of Vedic portions which guide us about vidhi and nisheda, but then there is much more to Vedas. What is that which is further to the karma vibhaga, karma and upasana also, that is jnana vibhaga. That jnana, that portion of wisdom is not at all about doing or not doing, it is about understanding something which always missed our attention. And Ādi Shankara took upon himself all through his life highlighting that jnana vibhaga. Even though he highlighted jnana vibhaga, the portion of wisdom, he never condemned or put down or threw out lock, stock and barrel the karma vibhaga. He respected karma. He said karma can bring about personality integration. Karma, whether once more it is Vedic rituals or mundane activities. A son looks after his father, right? A younger brother takes care of his older brother or an older sister, or even other areas. In a team, another team member is going through a hard time, you help out. When you are going through a hard time, she or he helps you out. These are ethical, moral norms that comes into karma vibhaga. So dharma and karma, Ādi Shankara respected, but as we already said, all he said was that is not the ultimate in the spiritual teachings. What is further you need to ask. So go further and then discover the jnana vibhaga. Now what is the distinction between jnana and karma? One thing we said already, in karma it is about what to do and what not to do. In jnana, the question itself doesn't arise. Suppose I place before you a glass of water. With this example, I will enter into some examples of Sri Shankara's teachings. I will first put it in simple English, then go into a quotation by him. I place a glass of water and you ask me, why have you placed it? Do you want me to drink? Then I say, it's up to you. Here is a glass of water. Now, with respect to the glass of water placed before you, you have the choice to take it and drink or just ignore it, saying I am not thirsty, or take it but give it to your spouse who is also with you. You give it to your husband, you give it to your wife. This is in Sanskrit expressed as, of course, to drink, the word is patum, or na patum, or anyata kartum. But generalizing, we use three expressions: kartum, akartum, anyata kartum. So let me quote a line from Shankara now. He says, in the domain of karma, where 95% of the Vedas engage, or for that matter, Bhagavad Gita engages, in the Brahma Sutras also there are references to those portions. 95% of religious works around the world do deal with karma. They guide humanity in the field of karma. So in that domain, which is going by quantity of statements made, going by the number of mantras or shlokas given, which it is the majority, I used a random figure, 95%. The nature of that instruction is, he says, Purushena, by a man or a lady, kartum, akartum, anyatha va kartum shakyate, shakyam. And technically it is called Purusha Tantratvat. Purusha Tantra, here Purusha means you and I. Tantra means up to. It is up to the person. A glass of water is placed before you, it is up to you. To drink it, not to drink it, or to give it to a spouse, or go and put it to the base of a plant, or throw it out of the window. Do anything you like. Kartum, akartum means na kartum or anyata kartum. Whereas in contrast, the jnana vibhaga, that is the Upanishadic teachings, which talk about your true nature, which talk about the true nature of existence, true nature of this universe, which talk about the true nature, it is all about understanding. And Shankara puts it this way, jnanam tu pramanajanyam As per the means of knowledge, you get the knowledge of the object as it is. You cannot decide how it should be. Suppose you go near fire and take your hand, you put your hand into fire. You, whether it is you, me, she or he, a child or an adult, man or woman, when any of us puts our hand into fire, there is only one possibility. All of us will find, oh, this is hot. Fire is hot. Fire is hot because of its very nature. The word used now is vastu. Fire is the vastu here. Vastu means the object, the truth there. Fire by nature is hot, and you don't have a choice there. You cannot say, I am going to put my hand into fire, and today being Tuesday, I will perceive it as cold. Normally on Tuesdays I perceive anything I touch as cold. On Wednesdays I perceive. You cannot have such kind of argument. It depends on the nature of fire. It doesn't depend upon the person putting his hand. The person in the technicality here is Purusha. In the matter of what to do with a glass of water, it is Purusha Tantra. Karma is Purusha Tantra, whereas Jnana is Vastu Tantra. And if you have the right means of knowledge, here the hand with the means of knowledge being Indriya, Tvagindriya. Skin is your sense organ here. As you know, eyes and ears, nose, tongue and skin are the Indriyas. So with the Indriya called hand, especially the skin over there, it is in working condition. You are not putting a hand which has gone totally numb. An operating, a working Indriya is placed in fire, then it brings you the knowledge of fire as fire is. If you were to touch a piece of ice, it will bring you the knowledge of ice which is cold. So, depends on the object. If you see a rose, you see a rose. You have no choice about what to see. And if you start imagining, you say, okay, give me a rose, and suppose you have trained your faculty of imagination. Even though a rose is kept in front of you, you go into intense imagination, or somebody hypnotizes you. Then we say, pramana is not operating, and whatever it is, I am not seeing rose here, I am seeing a chocolate bar here. If you say, then we say, you slipped from jnana. Jnana is about seeing whatever is as it is. You slipped into upasana. In upasana, you go into visualization. You may have a piece of stone, shalagrama, and you see Vishnu there. And you may become emotional. And you may receive Vishnu's grace also. All that is fine. But that whole exercise, that whole operation is called upasana. It is not jnana. And then to that piece of stone called shalagrama, or somewhere else a piece of stone which is made into a shivalinga, right? You give bath, you wipe it, you put chandan, you put kumkum, you put akshatas, you put flowers, and you say, look, I have all choice what to do here. Then we say, that's fine. But you are operating in karma vibhaga. In karma vibhaga, in the category or in the domain of action, you have all the choices to give bath to the shalagrama or not, to put a flower or not to put, etc. But if it is about jnana, neither karma to do something, nor upasana to visualize. When the Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad says, Matra Devo Bhava, it is not Atma Jnana, it is not Brahma Jnana, it is Upasana. May your mother be a god to you. When your mother comes before you, you touch her feet, and you visualize God has come to me. Matra Devo Bhava, Pitra Devo Bhava, right? Acharya Devo Bhava, Atiti Devo Bhava. Though they are found in the Upanishads, those mantras are not jnana. Upanishads also give a number of karmas and upasanas, especially upasanas. In Chandogya and Brihadaranyaka, a bulk of the mantras talk about upasanas. In Chandogya Upanishad, some of you may have studied, only the last 3 chapters are primarily into jnana. They also talk about a little of upasana. The first 5 chapters of the Chandogya Upanishad, having 8 chapters, they are 80% upasana only. A little bit of jnana is given. Therefore, whether a particular Veda mantra is advising you karma or upasana or jnana is not by in which chapter it is located, but by the merit of its own statement or its own message. Going by the merit, going by the nature of the message, you then classify it as karma or jnana. So I came over to this distinction between karma vibhaga and jnana vibhaga, the section of action and the section of wisdom. For I connected it with Shankara's own life with Mandana Mishra, who was only operating in karma vibhaga. You and I also in modern times would go through a phase of life where it is all about earning and spending, it is all about getting promotion, it is all about, some kind of becoming something, and our eyes may be closed to, leave alone God and spiritual matters, our eyes may be shut even to things like caring for the suffering humanity and so on. If somebody talks about some social work, somebody talks about some injustice somewhere, we say, I am a software engineer, if you want to talk about that, you tell me. This, actually my father is interested, shall I give you his phone number? You just don't identify with, so many other issues. So, in Karma Kanda, you are headlong into, if I do this, I'll get that. If I do this, I'll get this. And I want to do that and get over there. So, it is all about doing, reaching somewhere, becoming somebody, becoming something, which is okay. But there is more to life than that. So, Shankara, in his interpretation of Upanishads, talks about the mantras which convey to us a different understanding. If you go by Shankara's interpretation, and at some point if you ask, this is very interesting, but tell me what I should do now, he will smile and say, you didn't get the message. This is not about doing at all. In fact, let me touch upon a subtlety here. You don't ask him, what shall I do? But suppose you ask him, all this is very nice, but how do I realize this Brahman? How do I realize this highest knowledge? Even if you bring the word how, he would smile. Well, if you are asking how, you didn't follow what I said so far. You would almost feel guilty. Is it wrong to ask how? It's not about guilt or feeling right about yourself. Right seeing is a process. Right seeing is some such matter that there is no how. How belongs to karma. How means what? Should I go this way? Should I go that way? Like I take you near fire, and if you ask, how do I know fire is hot? Oh, then you have not come close enough. I am not asking you to put your hand into it. If you have come close to it, if you have understood, in the case of the analogy, fire, senses are enough. In the case of Brahmajnana, it is not senses. It is for want of a better language, it is a certain intuitive grasp. When you have this intuitive grasp, then everything happens. In the case of fire, if you have come close, you say, hey, is there fire here? So the how becomes unimportant. How becomes irrelevant there. How and why and all that. The whole karma vibhaga, how and why are very relevant. In Jnana vibhaga, if you got it, you got it. If you didn't get it, you didn't get it. Therefore, many of you know a queer expression that comes in some of our works in Sanskrit. Yap pashyati, sa pashyati. There is an expression at places. I guess some form of it comes in Gita also, in Bhajagovindam, and in many Sanskrit works. Yap pashyati, sa pashyati. What it means is, he who sees, sees. He who doesn't see, doesn't see. You may scratch your head. Oh, what does this mean? He who sees, sees. He who doesn't see, doesn't see. What is this? That is the subtlety there. There is a seeing, and when you see, everything changes for you. And this will call for many questions. If you say that it is all about something happening, you see, otherwise you don't see. So is it some kind of magic? If it is something that just happens, then what is the place of all this study? If there is no way to it, if there are no stepping stones, if there is no method, if there is no technique, then why study? Why drive to several miles to come to a Vedanta class? Why pick up the book? No, this is also taken up. Therefore, let me say, in Shankara's interpretation, he places a very subtle revelation before you, and he doesn't put it from under his hat. He says, this is what the Upanishads are saying, like Tattvamasi. The father Uddhalaka says to the son, you are that. If the son got it, he got it. If the son didn't get it, okay, he didn't get it. Let's see. What does the father do? Or what does any teacher do? The scriptures then take upon themselves, scriptures, Upanishads and Gita, etc., on their own, number one, and then commentators on another level. They take upon themselves a certain communication method where what they do is they kind of find out, though it was said, how is it she didn't get it? Then they find that she didn't get it or he didn't get it because in this matter it's very unique. He didn't get it not because the truth being conveyed is far away or hidden somewhere. The truth is your own true nature. You are that. And yet you didn't get it. It implies that presently this person, the lady, the gentleman, is caught in some fancy, caught in some other identification. He or she is so identified, so attached, so much in the tight embrace of a notion, and the scriptures therefore go about shaking those notions. And I am slowly hinting at the scriptural method of negation, of dismissal of the false. And Shankara builds his system and he shows, let me read one more line and then then close today's class. He very explicitly says, so in these classes I will try to go on making various clarifications, then you would yourself see that the whole matter gets clearer and clearer. Oh, this is how it operates. So the quotation I am making is, in a certain portion in his commentary on Brahma Sutras, he says, the scripture does not show Brahman, the supreme truth, in the form of, look, this is Brahman. It cannot. It does not. Because Brahman cannot be objectified. Then what does the scripture do? The scripture apanayati. There is a Sanskrit word, apanayati. Apanayati means removes. What does it remove? It removes certain creations in our mind, certain constructions in our mind which are caused by avidya. Avidya kalpitam apanayati. And lastly, like what? What kind of constructs? Construct is a better word than construction. Construction is a grosser word for physical construction generally. In philosophy, we sometimes prefer the word construct. It's also a noun. Mental constructs. What kind of constructs does the scripture remove? Shankara says, Vedya, Veditra, Vedana, Ādi Vedam. We have a concept, we have a mental construct. This is to be known, and I am the knower, and there is knowing. So this, we call it Triputi. The known, the knower, and knowing. In an amazing insight, Shankara tells us that generally we operate endlessly in this kind of scenario. Something to be known, I am the knower, and this is how I know. But this threefold construct actually is questionable. The threefold construct at best has a place in Vyavahara Bhumi, in a frame of reference of some transactions, but if you dig deeper, if you scratch the surface, this construct of known, knower and knowing will evaporate, will vanish, and the scriptures go about helping you drop that. You may say, that is very abstract. Actually, I'll give you an example and close. Suppose I have some more money than you have, and because of that more money I have, I go about in any context or any scenario, I go about with an idea that I am a holier and superior and some better person. As all of us know very well, money is good to have, but money definitely is not everything about life. What if I have millions and you have just what is needed for day-to-day living? But imagine I have 3 ailments and you have perfect health. Which is better? Good health is so much better. But a mental construct could give undue importance to wealth, undue importance to sometimes some so-called caste, undue importance to sometimes height or color of skin, or is it? So we mean, by mental construct we mean something like that. Just as in real life you and I do carry certain mental constructs because of which superiority and inferiority come about, very much like that, there is a mental construct which is rather universal, which is sarvatrika. Acharya Shankara admits that it is so universal, but then Upanishads bring to us an extraordinary insight. If you go with it, if you patiently listen to it and question this basic construct, then a leap takes place, a transition takes place. To bring about that transition, which sometimes is praised by mystics as a radical change, a deep transformation. We hear about some mystics, such and such place, such and such time, somewhere, she went through a deep transformation. Her world changed. Her understanding of herself changed. We hear these things. Know for sure. Shankara puts that kind of deep inner transformation in a philosophical framework. And it describes it rather than mere poetry in a more technical language. The divisions between known, knower and knowing go away. Oh.